On the news, House of Reps to scrutinize 6.2 trillion naira supplementary budget. Cholera vaccine to arrive Nigeria soon. And House of Reps to investigate IOC's alleged to sabotage Dangote refinery. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkolye. President Bola Tinubu is set to depart Nigeria for Ghana on July 20th to attend the 6th Media Coordination Meeting of the African Union. This announcement was made on Friday by Ajorin Gulale, the presidential spokesperson. Now, the meeting will bring together regional economic communities, regional mechanisms, and African Union member states, and align with the AU's 2024 theme, Educating and Empowering Africa for the 21st Century. As chairman of the Economic of West African State, ECOWAS, President Tinubu will present the 2024 budget report on the state of the regional organization at the meeting. The report will be centered on peace, regional security, governance, economic integration, humanitarian and social development, energy, mines, and agriculture. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has also met with Claudio Descalzi, the CEO of Eni, to discuss ongoing activities in Nigeria and outline new initiatives focused on energy transition and decarbonization. Now, during the meeting, Descalzi emphasized Eni's long-standing relationship with Nigeria, which dates back to 1962. The meeting provided an opportunity to discuss Eni's plans for economic diversification in Nigeria. Now, the plans include evaluating the potential production of agri-feedstock for any beneficiaries, primarily for agro-industrial residues.
Well, it was basically, a visit by the global CEO of ENI. ENI has been in this country since 1962. And so they came today, as part of the confidence that we have restored into the oil and gas sector as far as investment is concerned. Recall that recently some people were saying that there was no investment in Nigeria for 10 years or more. But recently you can see NNPC, having strategic, agreements being signed, with some companies, and then ENI, having just, had a deal with Owando, to exit their onshore assets, have decided to come and then play big in the offshore, in the deep water. And that is why they came today. And like we said, we are trying to resolve all the issues surrounding, the OML 245, which is one of the most prolific assets, so that they can bring investments in tens of billions of dollars, to Nigeria. And that was why they came. And I think that we have resolved all the issues, NNPC, NUPRC, Attorney General's office, Minister of Petroleum, all of us were involved in resolving all the issues, and I believe that we have agreed. And very soon we'll come and brief the President formally about the outcome of it. And the good news is that everybody is aligned, on this matter, and we believe that very soon these investments will come in.
Mr. President, reforms are working. We are seeing sustained return of our partners into the investment field, and we are seeing increasing participation and interest to invest in our country, and this is also showing up in our current performances.
Like the Honorable Minister has said and the GCO, for us in the Commission, we are implementing the reforms of Mr. President that relates to the initiatives that incentives that have been granted, and that is creating sanity and confidence in the mind of investors.
The Minister of Education, Tory Merman, has directed the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, to admit only candidates who have attained 18 years in tertiary institutions starting from next year. Merman said this on Thursday in a policy meeting organized by JAMB. Now, earlier on, I spoke with Professor of Linguistics at the University of Ibadan, Francis Egbokare, on the issue, and I began by asking him his reaction to this new announcement by the Minister of Education.
Well, I think it's pedantic because we can't just be getting to deal with such issues now, because there are more serious problems to deal with. I got into the university in 1979 under 17 years, and that was a normal thing. And I think we need to be dealing with more serious issues. Before we reach policies like that, we ought to ask ourselves the question about on what research are we basing these policies? How do we carry out such policies on human systems? It's based on an industrial style approach to education, where we assume that every human being is the same. Human capacities and abilities are variable. And if there is any need for such a policy, it should be based on well-conducted research.
Now, how do you think this policy change will impact the tertiary education landscape in Nigeria, especially considering the large number of young students who qualify for higher education at age 16 or 17 years?
It's going to be injurious. Take the population of the average graduates between 16. Most of them, leaving the secondary school at 15. By the time you are getting to 17, you are already too old for the secondary school system. So let's look at that and look at the fact that Nigeria has a youth bulge. The population of those Nigerians who are teenagers is on the high side. So how do you prevent them from going to school simply because somebody has an opinion about what should be done about just basing entry qualifications on age? This ageism. Population. If you are talking about youth, at what point, by the time an average youth gets to 30 years in Europe, in America, he's already so mature in the system that you can hand over the governance of a nation to them. So if you now leave them at 18, you are saying you must wait until 18. What exactly are we trying to achieve? The other danger is that we are going to stifle the private institutions, private universities. Universities will have a problem with enrollment. And then we will now force our geniuses, those who are producing from the unity schools and our geniuses from the gifted schools. We will now force them now to enroll in other African universities and universities in Europe and America, where we have absolutely no control.
Now, the minister has adjusted the policy to allow 16-years-old to be admitted this year, with 18-year rule to be implemented next year. What are your thoughts on this phased approach?
Is this our problem? Is this our problem now about who gets, at what age people get into this? Look, institutions, universities should be allowed to do some of these things. There's this problem of over-centralization that is killing us. We are beginning to get to a point where government is standing in the way of Nigerians, in the way of the creativity and individual initiative. And the problem with this over-centralization is that it always works with the worst case scenario, using the lowest minimum as a basis for evaluating a system. I don't think we should evaluate a system like that. I think they should just hands off. We are stoking unnecessary controversy. We have more serious problems to deal with. There is a problem of power supply now that there are demonstrations in many institutions where students are saying, look, we cannot afford to pay this and we can't afford to pay that. There are more important issues that have to do with accountability and transparency in the educational system. There are issues that have to do with curriculum and employability. These are critical issues that we should handle, not ageism, dealing with ageism.
And the deputy spokesman of the House of Representatives, Philip Agbese, says the 6.2 trillion naira supplementary budget transmitted to the National Assembly on Wednesday by President Bola Tinubu is targeted at critical infrastructure, including education, healthcare, and the welfare of Nigerians, among others. Agbese said this in an interview in Abuja on Friday and pledged the readiness of the Parliament to subject the supplementary budget to a thorough and rigorous review. He also assured that the legislative body will engage with stakeholders, conduct public hearings, and scrutinize the executive bill to ensure that it serves the best interest of Nigerians, saying the House will not rush the process but will take the time necessary to ensure that the supplementary budget is passed with the necessary scrutiny and legislative inputs. The House of Representatives has also announced that it will investigate alleged attempts by international oil companies, IOCs, to sabotage the operations of the Dangote refinery. The decision followed a motion of urgent importance raised by Minority Leader Honorable Kingsley Chinda. He expressed concerns that there may be manipulation of local crude prices, which could prevent the Dangote refinery from purchasing crude locally and increase the cost of refined products. Additionally, the lawmakers plan to investigate the exact percentage of federal government shares in the Dangote refinery, as there are discrepancies in the reported figures.
The House is worried that there is an urgent need to look into these allegations and end or break all forms of dominance and monopoly in the petroleum sector by IOCs and confirm the quantum of federal government interest in the refinery. The House is worried that unless urgent steps are taken by the federal government, as well as investigate these matters and call on the IOCs to order, Dangote refinery and its operation will be prematurely pushed or forced out of business, and this will not be good for us as a people. The House is also concerned that NNPC Limited is said to be unable to subscribe for the 20% shares that the country ought to own in Dangote refinery.
And Senator Ali Ndume has broken his silence over his removal as the chief whip of the Senate, saying having reviewed the conversation that prompted his ouster, his action did not warrant his sack. Ndume was removed as the Senate chief whip after his criticism of the President Bola Tinubu government's handling of the nation. The lawmaker said he has declined the chairmanship of the Senate's Committee on Tourism, arguing that he lacks the experience and exposure to lead such a sensitive group. The lawmaker also said he was given the chance to choose which committee to serve in as the vice chairman, having successfully led the campaigns that brought both the emergence of Godswill Akpabio as the president of the Senate. Ndume's removal as the Senate chief whip follows a letter written by his party chairman requesting he be replaced with another senator from Borno State after criticizing President Tinubu for being inaccessible. And the Chief Executive Officer of Vaccine Alliance, Gavi, Sania Nishta, has disclosed the cholera vaccines will soon arrive in Nigeria to help curb the deadly and ongoing disease outbreak. Nishta announced this on her X handle on Thursday. Now, on June 27, 2024, she said that the body was concerned about the cholera outbreak in Nigeria and was ready to support the country, including requesting emergency vaccine doses where needed. As of July 15, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention recorded 3,623 suspected cholera cases and 103 deaths across 34 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The current outbreak is spread to 187 local government areas with a cumulative case fatality rate of 2.8% since the beginning of the year. Now, responding to a post, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Mohammed Pate, thanked Gavi CEO for facilitating the vaccines. And in order to strengthen maritime security, the Nigerian Senate has advanced a bill to repeal and amend the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency NIMASA Act of 2007. This development was highlighted during a public hearing following earlier deliberations on March 4, 2024, where the Senate discussed the general principles of NIMASA Act. Stakeholders at the committee expressed strong support for the repeal, emphasizing its importance in aligning NIMASA with global best practices. Now, Dayo Muberiola, the Director General of NIMASA, spoke on the benefit of the proposed amendment, highlighting they would empower the agency to impose fines on offenders without needing court actions, thereby streamlining enforcement processes.
Our funding has to be sustained, and as the military personnel here know very well, that funding is the key for them to be able to continue their work. And we have been doing that consistently and comfortably for them. The third one is the fine. The fine, according to the law, is that the fine can only take place after a court judgment. Whereas when you go into the international regulations and law, you can fine a perpetrator. And if the perpetrator is not comfortable with it, he can then go to court. But in Nigerian situation, in maritime situation right now, you cannot fine the perpetrator unless you take the perpetrator to court.
It also helps the country to maximize the benefits which abound in the maritime industry and the blue economy. Accordingly, this public hearing is tailored towards enacting an enduring legislation that will stand the test of time and in line with the best and global practices, which recognizes the importance of the blue economy to regional and global economic growth and development.
And barely 3 weeks after seizing over 6,000 cartons of codeine syrups in Rivers State, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) made yet another significant interception. Now, on Thursday, July 18, 2024, NDLEA operatives intercepted 7 containers at the Port Harcourt Port Complex in Onne, containing 1,229,400 bottles of codeine-based cough syrups. The street value of the seizure is estimated at over 9,835 million naira. Now, TV360 Victoria Akonde, correspondent, has more details.
This latest seizure by the NDLEA is the fourth and final set of consignments under the watch list of the agency's Maritime Special Operations Unit targeting team, which follows months of diligent tracking in collaboration with the Port Harcourt Port Command and other security agencies, including the Customs Service. On Thursday, July 18, 2024, NDLEA operatives intercepted 7 containers at the Port Harcourt Port Complex in Onne with a market value of over 9,835 million naira from India. During a joint examination, all 7 containers were found bearing a total of 8,775 cartons of codeine-based cough syrup with a total weight of over 180 kilograms. A breakdown of the shipment shows that one container contained 875 cartons with 175,000 bottles of codeine weighing 26,650 kilograms. Other items in this container included 70 cartons of Chiti cutters and 55 cartons of Iger tablets. 4 other containers contained 175,000 bottles of codeine along with other items used to mark the shipment. Chairman and Chief Executive of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, has commended the officers and all stakeholders involved in the operation for their diligence, vigilance and professionalism. He said this successful operation has inflicted heavy losses on the cartels behind the shipments, significantly degrading their capacity and financial base. Victoria Akonde, TV360 Lagos.
We'll go on a short break, but coming up next, Kenyan President Ruto names partial new cabinet. Details of the story after this break. Welcome back. Now, here's a recap of our top stories. The House of Representatives has announced an investigation into the alleged attempts by international oil companies IOCs to sabotage the operations of the Dangote refinery. This decision followed a motion of urgent importance raised by Minority Leader Honorable Kingsley Chinda, who expressed concerns about potential manipulation of local crude prices that could hinder the Dangote refinery's ability to purchase locally and raise the cost of refined products. Additionally, lawmakers will investigate discrepancies in the reported percentages of federal government shares in the Dangote refinery. We also told you that the Chief Executive Officer of Vaccine Alliance, AVI, Sania Nishta, has announced in her X handle that cholera vaccines will soon arrive in Nigeria to help combat the ongoing outbreak. She expressed concerns about the situation and affirmed Gavi's readiness to support the country, including requesting emergency vaccine doses. In response to Nishta's announcement, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Mohammed Pate, thanked her for facilitating the vaccine delivery. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Limas World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're TV360 Online.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other Paper Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
It's time for business news, and Joy Uche Jim is on standby. Joy, what's the latest?
Oh, thank you, Tammy. Well, on business, to address the pressing challenges faced by MSMEs in Nigeria, MSME Africa has organized the MSME Dialogue event, focusing on innovation and digital transformation. The event brought together experts, entrepreneurs, and stakeholders to discuss the vital role of digital transformation in the growth and development of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Speaking at the event in Lagos, the convener of the event, Shaye Olurotimi, highlighted the challenges that entrepreneurs face in the country, while stakeholders at the event also urged entrepreneurs to be innovative and adapt to challenges and changes in the digital world.
An event that is meant to bring stakeholders within the MSME space together to talk about issues affecting MSMEs. So unlike other events that have basically focused on entrepreneurs, this is focused on everybody that plays within the MSME ecosystem, the entrepreneurs, the policymakers, regulators, enterprise development organizations, innovation support organizations, and everybody that plays in that space, so that we can all come together and chat a part and say, okay, this is what we think should happen in this space in a particular area. So that's basically what the event all about.
Most of them will always want to talk about funding. Oh, it is funding that I need, access to market that I need, undermining the fact that, this funding and then, the access to markets also rides on innovation and also ride on digitalization. So I think that MSMEs should adopt, first of all, it's time to innovate. We can't do things the same way we used to do it and get different results. We will get the same result. So we need things that are different.
Most MSMEs don't like joining groups where they be aware of the information or what is abreast in the industry. So I think, like I've said it in one of the stakeholders meetings that were held, that we just need to keep creating more awareness and be putting the information out there for MSMEs. Yeah.
Today's event, we were taught digitalization and visibility. Put yourself out there, let people see what you do as much as you can. Talk about what you do. No matter what, don't give up. Continue to collaborate, continue to press in. There is enough market for everyone. The landscape is enough to contain everyone. It doesn't matter in the area, on anywhere that you're playing in. Just put yourself out there.
Still on business, the federal government has unveiled a comprehensive strategy to lead Africa's digital trade revolution within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. This initiative is part of President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda aimed at harnessing trade as a catalyst for economic growth and continental cohesion. Speaking at the Stakeholders Summit themed Digital Trade in Africa, the Renewed Hope Strategy at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, Vice President Kashim Shettima highlighted Nigeria's status as Africa's largest ICT hub and called for prioritizing policy initiatives aligned with developed economies to sustain growth. We'll take a short break and return with stock market reports. Welcome back. Nigeria's equities market closed this week's trading in the bulls, increasing by 0.44%. Now, the Sovereign Trust Insurance led the gainers with a 4.26% share price appreciation, closing at 49 kobo, followed by Custodian Alliance Company. Now, by the end of the last trading day of the Nigerian Stock Exchange for the week, 603 million shares were traded in 9,988 deals, worth about 9.164 billion naira. Now, that's a stellar improvement compared with the previous NGX trading day, which was Thursday, the July 18th. As Friday's data shows 54% improvement in volume, 10% improvement in turnover, and 11% improvement in deals. Now, taking a look at the global markets, the reverse is the case as our select equities all closed the week's trading in the bears owing to global cyber outage on Friday, as investors assessed a fall in domestic retail sales in June, while commodity-linked stocks dropped, tracking declines in prices of copper, gold, and other metals. Now, switching over to the forex scene, the naira rate gained, but by a small margin, to trade at 1,580 naira to a dollar on the black market. The British pounds traded at 2,070 naira, and the euros are at 1,720 naira on the black market. That's the world business and stock market reports. Back to you, Tammy, for the rest of the news.
Thank you for that update, Joy. Now on the global scene, Kenya's embattled President William Ruto on Friday named the Persian new cabinet as the start of the process to form a broad-based government after a month of widespread and sometimes deadly protest against his administration. In a televised address, Ruto unveiled the names of 11 proposed ministers after last week's sacking almost his entire cabinet as he seeks to contain the worst crisis of his nearly two-year presidency. He put forward 11 names for cabinet ministers and the Attorney General that will go before Parliament for approval. However, several of those nominated were members of the previous government. A widespread global outage has forced a diverse range of businesses to halt operations, affecting banks, airlines, telecoms providers, broadcast networks, and supermarkets worldwide. According to reports, major U.S. airlines including Delta, United, and American Airlines experienced a system-wide ground stop on Friday morning due to a technical communication issue. As of Friday morning, more than 1,004 U.S. flights were cancelled and approximately 1,700 were delayed, according to tracking service FlightWare. However, multiple U.S. airlines said they were beginning to resume operations Friday morning following the worldwide computer system outage. And finally, on sports development minister John Eno has said President Bola Tinubu has approved over 12 billion naira for Team Nigeria's preparation and participation at the forthcoming 2024 Paris Olympics and Paralympics in Paris, France. Eno made the disclosure during a parley with sport writers at the Media Center of Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. He said the president approved the entire budget estimate submitted for Nigeria's participation in the Olympics. According to Eno, the approved 12 billion naira is divided into two parts, with 9 billion naira for Olympics involving able-bodied athletes and scheduled to hold from July 26 and August 11, while over 3 billion naira was earmarked for the Paralympics focused on physically challenged athletes and slated from August 28 to September 8. And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkolia. See you again next time.